Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in our amazing universe. And welcome to another episode of the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, your host. And, I have a question for our audience because it seems like sometimes the universe is talking to us. Maybe we listen, maybe we don't. But, it's just like, do we ever have one of those profound moments where, like, the whole world just stops for a moment and something just clicked and you knew it wasn't a coincidence? This is what I'm defining as the mic drop from spirit. It's like those moments where something happens and it probably maybe shifts your whole outlook or maybe even your path as to where you're going to be going in the future. And it's about knowing and trusting that. And my hope for us today is just to explore that a little deeper. So when these things do happen, you have like a reference point for it and you're able to dig a little deeper and really embrace what these divine interventions are all about. One thing I will tell you is that when there are these, I'm going to call them awakenings or divine mic drops from spirit, it's like once it happens, it's like you can't go back to your previous reality. It's like life has changed forever in that moment. And I could look at my life where things have happened, even early on in my life where something occurred and I was on a pathway to do one thing and did a 180 and ended up doing something else. And one thing in particular was like, many people who know me, knew that I was a concert clarinetist as a youngster. And when I was a teenager, my father had a miraculous healing. And I knew in that moment that it wasn't my mission to continue on in music, but to pivot and go into healthcare to be a bridge between what could be physically seen and what cannot be physically seen or invisible, and what's visible and invisible. So those are like those truths that come right straight from source. Okay. I like to define it as this. It's a spiritual moment so powerful, precise, and unexpected that it demands your attention. It's a shift in frequency, a soul truth delivered straight from source. And for many of us, I know you've all had moments of this, and it may not be as, profound. It could be subtle. Um, it's a realization, and it may, maybe you hear it from a stranger. Maybe you hear it from something that you see like a sign, and it comes with such an overwhelming sense of peace, as particularly if you're having a difficult in the midst of having a difficult decision to make. Okay. Um, so, I want to talk about how spirit speaks. And I think this is a pretty cool thing. Spirits have many languages. The question is, are you tuned in? That's something to ponder too. When spirit talks to you or communicates with you, it could be layered, it could be in symbols, and it's usually in non-linear ways. Like it's not A plus B equals C or 1 plus 2 equals 3. It may be I'm going to say, like a matrix where everything's like interconnected in ways you have no idea. It could be in, one of the languages is through synchronicities. For an example, might see repeating numbers like 1111 or 444 or 777. When these occur, it seems like, you know, randomly they're occurring, but they're really coincidences. Um, or maybe even hearing a meaningful conversation, secondhand. These are the things that are connecting to you and allowing you to really, pay attention. Okay. Repeating numbers like 1111 is just like, for me early on in my life, I used to see that all the time. And way back then, we had those clocks that were like, I'm not going to say they were digital, they were like analog. They're not even analog. They flipped their numbers. And I remember probably 40 years ago, I had an alarm clock, and every so often you look up and it was 11:11. I'm like, this is really weird because this happens way too often. Little did I know at the time, but that was also the beginning of my spiritual awakening, because 11:11 are like the gate is like the gateway to the opening that aspect of your ability to step into the spiritual realm. So pay attention to numbers, and also you could go and Google, the spiritual meaning of such and such a number. If you have a repeating number that keeps coming up for you, look it up, because there's vibrations and frequencies with that as well, and probably a lot of insight and messages. Another language that spirit speaks in is intuitive nudges, such as like a persistent thought or that gut feeling or bodily sensation that alerts you to pay attention. And please pay attention to those, because that's your intuition talking to you. And we have a tendency sometimes, if we don't trust that, to doubt it and to jump from being fully present in our body to going back into our head and trying to figure out what this is and make sense out of it. So it's like when we go to our head, we are disconnecting from being fully present in our body. So please, if you're feeling like you're doubting that, just sit with whatever that feeling is and be with it, and just ask higher source to assist you with that, because they're there to help us, and we forget to ask, because we're here on earth because we have divine will, or and the thing is that we have freedom of picking and choosing what we choose to experience. We have free will, and it's not divine will, it's free will. Clarify that. And what happens is this, is that we might get in a pickle or a conundrum, and we're trying to figure it out in our head. And the other side, the invisible forces that are with us, that are benevolent and wanting to help, are there for us, yet they can't intervene on our part unless we invite them in, because we have free will. So just remember that there's a whole realm of helpers there for us, and we have to remember to invite them and ask them. Just say, please, spirit, help me out with this, I need some help. And usually they will come pretty quick. Another language that spirit speaks through is like your dreams or visions. Sometimes it's symbology in our dreams, or maybe you're having a conversation with a deceased loved one. And also another language is the natural world, and this is one of my favorites, because we are so dialed into the energy of our environment, and that includes the weather, it includes nature, it includes the earth, the sky, whatever that is. And now we have solar flares too, so many of us are feeling the ramifications of that. And I was having a conversation with Danielle before we went live, and we were talking about the whole idea of the northern lights. Whenever there's like huge solar flares or influxes of energy that come in, if you look at the patterning of where you're able to visualize the northern lights, it's very interesting because if you were looking at a map recently, I live in Southern California, people are able to see northern lights in California now, where that was almost unheard of. And a lot of it has to do with the solar flares that are coming from the sun that are creating this on Earth. So your body also is going to be a barometer for all of this too. So many of us who are aware of this, sometimes what we have a tendency to do is become very lethargic and sleepy and need to sleep a lot. And it's just programming. But that's just one example of being in the natural world. Pay attention to the animals. Animals are very smart. We've all known this when there's like earthquakes or even tsunamis, okay? The animals in the area where there's going to be a tsunami, they will retreat to higher ground. So if you're able to observe what the animals are doing, they will give you, because they're dialed in more than you could imagine, more than we are, and they're dialed in and they know what to do. So, natural world is going to give us signs as well. And it might be like a bird dropping a feather for you. And it might be, symbolic of a loved one, saying, we got you. We see you, we hear you, and we're ready to be in service for you. Now, I crack up because there was a time in my life, probably about almost 20 years ago, where I hit some major bumps in the road, whereas we all do, and you come to the point where you keep asking the universe, are you listening to me? It's I've been asking, what's going on? And I just remember one day in frustration, I said, I've been asking, are you listening to me? And out of the corner of my eye, I saw from my kitchen window something plop from the sky onto the pavement. So me being my curious self went out there, and I don't know where this thing came from. There was like no trees above where it fell from, but it was not just a feather, it was a whole raven's wing. Plop right on the pavement. And I'm sitting there with a stick poking at it, and I'm like, okay. And I walked back in sheepishly, and I could hear my my spirit guides and stuff like that laughing at me. And I said, okay, I get it. You are listening. You are, so, they showed me a sign. They didn't show me one feather. They showed me the whole bloody wing of a raven. So they do have a sense of humor. And what I'm going to say is sometimes we get very impatient, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as well in the next segment of what you do with information that you know is there, but you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and you're like, okay, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me now? And a lot of times all you need to do is ask them for a sign that you're there, and they will give you one. So one thing that I think is really helpful for people who are going through this, you may want to jot some of this stuff down. As it happens, just date it and say, oh, okay, I found a feather today, and just maybe what it felt to experience that. So whatever you find on your path, or, I saw the sequence of numbers today, write it down and just keep a note of it. So, you could have, I call it an awareness journal. So you're able to keep track of those awareness points that are happening in your life. The other thing that I find that is very, very important is just to be more aware and just tune in, because there are signs everywhere. And sometimes we are so caught up in our world of doing that in order for us to witness the signs, we need to be a little more quiet in the mind and less distracted from ourselves. So we're getting ready to go on our first break, and you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And when we come back, we'll talk more about the divine mic drop.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Ready to break free from complacency? Welcome to I'm Awake, Now What? Your monthly invitation to embrace conscious living. If you've been feeling lost or stagnant, this is your chance to awaken your purpose. Join our transformative conscious wake-up office hours every month for guidance and self-discovery. Experience the power of clarity and focus as you navigate towards holistic healing and empowerment. Don't just survive, thrive. Sign up now and unlock a wealth of benefits, including enhanced well-being, stress reduction, emotional healing, and connection. It's time to ignite the flames of purpose within and start your journey to a fulfilling life.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we've been talking on our show today about the divine mic drop. When spirit speaks, you listen. And before break, we were talking about, how spirit speaks in many languages. And it's not just, verbally, it's with synchronicities and in intuitive nudges, dreams or visions, and, connecting with the world around us. There's signs and symbols everywhere. And we also talked about what the divine mic drop is. And it's just like when your life, something happens that, just makes you stop in your tracks, and your life will never be the same after that. It's like you're forever changed in that moment. So what I want to talk about now, and we tapped a little bit into it, is about the challenge of trusting the message. And for many of us, listening is one thing, trusting is another. We often will dismiss what we're feeling or experiencing or sensing because our ego may get loud because it's operating from fear, doubt, or, of course, logic. It's got to make sense. What I'm going to tell you is none of this is going to make any sense to you at all. That's why you know that it is your intuition, because a lot of times it may be so counter. The information you're receiving inside of yourself may be so counter to what is on the outside of you that society is claiming to be correct. The other thing that comes play in here too is our, how we were raised, our culture, and we've been programmed to think and to be intellectual and not. And anything that's intuitive or feely can't be trusted, which, newsflash, that's the illusion right there. It's the stuff that within ourselves is the stuff we need to trust and embrace. Okay, the external world and the cultural conditioning is just eons of millennia that they were trying to control and to keep us small so we don't have to trust and have a mind of our own, which is our sovereign right, believe it or not, to speak your truth and be your true authentic self. And the other thing too is that sometimes another reason why we don't trust is that there's a lot of fear that's been entangled in that because of what we've been projected upon by the external, that it's not safe and we can't trust that. So, we talk about, some examples of resistance, and you may have gotten, maybe you're in the middle of changing jobs, or where you're working is no longer an alignment with who you are energetically. And this happens because we're all growing and evolving. And, once, maybe at one time that job was a perfect fit, but you have grown out of it pretty much, and it's time to move on to something that's more aligned. And for us to have that, sometimes you have to leave a job or just remove yourself from a situation to create the space for the other thing to come in. So some examples of resistance, it's like you receive a message to leave your job or relationship, but your logic tells you to stay. So logic versus what you're feeling. Or you ignore the signs and you later wish that you listened. So I think we've all had circumstances and experiences in our lives where we had that little nudge that the signs were there. We chose to ignore it, and later we wished that we had listened. I mean, it's not a good thing or bad thing. It's just what it is, and it's a learning opportunity. So please don't beat yourself up over that. It's like you probably learn a lot, and in the future, maybe you'll choose something different. Some tools to strengthen our trust are stillness practices. And on my show, the Dr. Dolores Show, I'm a real big advocate of mindful activity, because mindful activity, I feel, is like a foundational piece for being in your body. And it's also about being able to, it's like the doorway that leads you into your body so you're able to be in the more of the present moment. It's like a gateway practice. And mindful activity can be anything, from, walking in nature to as formal as sitting in meditation in a lotus position and chanting Om. What I want to say is that mindful activities are those things that you do that you lose all sense of time and place. You could be doing them for 5 or 6 hours and it only feels like 10 minutes. That is a mindful activity. So any activity that's going to allow you to lose all sense of time and place is a mindful activity. And it's going to be different for every individual. And I invite people to just explore and lean into what you're being led to. Because once you're in your body, your intuition is going to be guiding and leading you to your next steps. This is about how you're developing that trust, that inner trust and inner knowingness of what's the right thing for you, not your neighbors, not your family members, not your kids, not your spouse, not society, but for you. So, stillness practices like mindful activity, meditation, body scans, deep breathing to quiet the mental noise. So when you deep breathe, okay, it's like you are expanding your physical body. So more of your energy is going into your physical body and less to your mind. So that's how it is. It's a good practice to clear the mental noise. It's moving the mental noise into your physical body where it could be quiet. So the other thing that it's important to do for as far as trusting the message is, ask some check-in questions. Like if you're experiencing something and you're like in resistance to it, just ask it, not judge or criticize or react, but more like witnessing and observing, and just ask it, is this fear or truth? Does this feel expansive or constrictive? What I will tell you is that if it feels expansive, it's probably the right thing to do. If it feels constrictive, it's probably not so much the right thing to do. And, as far as the journaling thing is coming up, for every time that something happens, just, make a note of it and just, affirm what unfolded. So, that's called sacred reflection. And that's about journaling after each mic drop, if you want to call it, situation. So you're able to kind of have a record or a witness of what is happening. So, let's talk about aligned action after you get those mic drops, okay? Spirit just doesn't drop wisdom for inspiration. It's actually a call to move, okay? When we receive divine guidance, it means stepping into partnership with Spirit. Okay, I want to say that again, because you're creating a partnership with Spirit. So receiving divine guidance means stepping into partnership with Spirit. I feel that many of us want to rush into things and take, and make it happen. And this is where we bounce from being in our physical body and into our head trying to figure out, and we lose the flow and the connection. It's not about rushing, it's about taking conscious, aligned action. Or maybe even divine, conscious, aligned action. Okay, you will know when it's the right time to take the next steps. Sometimes we don't have the full plan of what is to unfold. We only have the first step. So that's why it's really important to go where you are led, go where you are feeling expansive, go where you are feeling drawn, because it's like you're learning to trust that wisdom that's coming within you. One thing I will tell you is that when you take small actions, they ripple into larger transformation when they are backed by divine energy. So all you really need to do is take one step in the direction. Now, I want to talk about this other thing that happens too. And for me, this really drove home for me recently because, you have all these actions and something really big has happened. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, it's over. Now what? This is what we call a sacred pause, okay? And when this happens, some of us want to go into overanalysis as to why this is happening instead of allowing the pause for the integration of what had happened, okay? That I feel is just so important because it's like everything needs to catch up. And when we tune in again and ask Spirit for clarity on timing and support of this, usually they say you need to rest and pause right now. What we don't understand is that why this is so, yet the bigger picture is that there are so many moving parts beyond our comprehension that need to fall into place in order for the next steps to manifest. We have to remember that everything is energy, frequency, and it's always divine timing, not my timing. And with that in mind, We're going to go on our next break, and you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. So stay tuned, and when we come back, we'll talk more about living in the frequency of listening on our Divine Mic Drop show today. Stay tuned.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Ready to break free from complacency? Welcome to I'm Awake, Now What? Your monthly invitation to embrace conscious living. If you've been feeling lost or stagnant, this is your chance to awaken your purpose. Join our transformative conscious wake-up office hours every month for guidance and self-discovery. Experience the power of clarity and focus as you navigate towards holistic healing and empowerment. Don't just survive, thrive. Sign up now and unlock a wealth of benefits, including enhanced well-being, stress reduction, emotional healing, and connection. It's time to ignite the flames of purpose within and start your journey to a fulfilling life.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we've been talking today about the divine mic drop. When spirit speaks, you listen, on our show today. And before break, we were talking about some of those things that are really, really important, as far as learning how to trust the messages you're getting and looking at our areas where we have resistance and where, what do you do after something like that happens? I mean, because it's just like, all right, I got this information, now what? Instead of rushing off in the old pattern of thinking I have to make something happen, it's just, I'm going to invite you to just be with what you experienced and allow it to unfold. And that's going to be a stretch for some people because we're constantly wanting to figure things out and to get a plan together. And sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. Timing is everything, and it's more divine timing than my timing. So when we're living, I want to just add this other thing before we go into our meditation for our episode. Living in the frequency of listening. Make your life a conversation with spirit. And, people think, oh, you have to be going into meditation to talk to spirit. And I'm going to ask you to stretch your mind a little bit because it's about cultivating a life where you're in ongoing relationship with the divine, not just waiting for the dramatic mic drop. So it's almost like you're in relationship with your higher self, that divine wisdom, and you listen to it every day. Maybe by having morning silence, or maybe before you start checking your electronic devices, just having a moment or so where you're just reflective. And if you choose, maybe you're going to do some intuitive writing, or asking spirit a question and staying open all day for responses, because spirit will communicate to you in numerous ways. As we talked about, it's just like it has many different languages, through synchronicities, through symbols, through nature, through whatever you could imagine. And yes, I also going to invite you to really create space in your calendar and your world for spiritual reflection or nature walks. Because when you spend more and more time in those vibrations and frequencies, you're more grounded in your body, which means when you're in your body, you're able to pay attention to signs and symbols, and also experience more wonder and synchronicities in your life. I find when I live in this frequency, I have a lot more grace, a lot more serenity, peace, and really have a lot of internal power, where I find that my life is more of a dialogue versus a struggle. So, before we go into our meditation, I just want to leave you with this thought. Spirit is always speaking. The real question is, are you listening with your whole self? Something to ponder. So this is the point in our show where we do a guided meditation on the things that we've pretty much talked about, because I'm a firm believer that it's great to give you a lot of information and insight and wisdom. And for me, it's important to put it together for you so you actually have an experiential process or an experience, so you could really ground it deeper and own it for yourself. So we're going to do a meditation, and it's called Listening for the Divine Mic Drop. And so I invite you to, sit or lie down, whichever helps you feel open and relaxed. And allow your eyes to gently close, and let's begin. Just allow yourself to take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. And just let your shoulders drop. Let the muscles in your face relax. Let your spine feel supported. You are safe. You are present. So breathe in again. Feel the breath come all the way down to your belly. And breathe out slowly, letting go of any tension, noise, or distraction. Allow yourself to arrive here fully and gently. With each breath, bring your awareness inward. Imagine your awareness dropping out of your head down into your heart. Now notice, what is here underneath the surface of your thoughts? There may be silence. There may be sensations. There may be nothing, and that's perfectly okay. Just listen. Spirit often speaks in stillness. And in this stillness, you are listening with your whole self. Now imagine above your head a soft golden light, a channel of divine communication. This is the wisdom of Spirit, always available, always loving, always here. Now visualize this light gently pouring down over you like a gentle rain of energy, flowing over your head, down your neck and shoulders, into your chest and heart center. Let this light awaken your inner knowing. Silently affirm to yourself, I am open. I am listening. I am ready to receive. Bring your awareness to your heart. And if you feel called, ask the question internally. What does Spirit want me to know right now? Allow the question to float. Don't try to answer. Just allow space, allow breath, allow knowing to come softly. You may hear a word, see an image, feel a sensation, or simply feel peace. Whatever arrives, trust it. And if nothing comes, trust that too. Even silence is an answer. Breathe in one more time, feeling gratitude for this moment of deep listening. Feel your body. Feel your heart. Feel the peace that comes from knowing you are guided. Now place one hand over your heart and one on your belly. Say softly to yourself, I trust the whispers. I honor the message. I move in alignment. Begin to bring movement back to your fingers and toes. Gently roll your shoulders or your neck if you wish. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Welcome back. And welcome back, everybody. I always love meditation because even though I am guiding the meditation, I could feel the silence, serenity, and peace. So we're getting ready to go on our last break, and you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network, and I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And when we come back, we'll wrap it up for our show. Take care.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Ready to break free from complacency? Welcome to I'm Awake, Now What? Your monthly invitation to embrace conscious living. If you've been feeling lost or stagnant, this is your chance to awaken your purpose. Join our transformative conscious wake-up office hours every month for guidance and self-discovery. Experience the power of clarity and focus as you navigate towards holistic healing and empowerment. Don't just survive, thrive. Sign up now and unlock a wealth of benefits, including enhanced well-being, stress reduction, emotional healing, and connection. It's time to ignite the flames of purpose within and start your journey to a fulfilling life.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network, and I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we're talking about the divine mic drop when spirit speaks. You listen today on our show. And, we talked about a bunch of stuff today, and I'm hoping that this will give you some insight as to paying attention to those synchronicities in the language of the universe, because there's so much that the universe wants to share with us. It's about us to be awake, open, and receptive enough to hear it, because we could listen, but sometimes we're not hearing. And this is, sometimes when we show up in our world, it's like how many times that you're having a conversation with somebody and you're listening, but you pop into your head trying to figure out what you're going to say next. Same idea when you're listening to, the universe as well. Just be with what you're experiencing, stay fully present in your body, and you will probably be magically surprised as what you're going to find out and the wisdom and the insights that you're going to gain from that. So, let's talk about some takeaways from our show today. One thing to remember is that spirit is always communicating, whether it's subtle or bold. The universe is in constant dialogue with us through signs, feelings, and synchronicities. Okay. And I'm sure each one of us has had those moments where we know that you just can't make this stuff up, right? It just is so magical. Divine mic drop shifts everything. These moments are undeniable. They pause your momentum and realign you with purpose, truth, and clarity. And I look back on those moments in my life where that has basically happened. You're on one pathway and you think this is, the cat's meow, and then something happens and it's like you do a 180 pivot to something completely different. Know and trust that. If you follow that, you'll never be disappointed. Listening requires stillness. Cultivating quiet time and being present opens the channel to receive divine insight more clearly and frequently. So yes, do a mindful activity where you're going to still your mind and be in the present moment. Trust is the bridge. Even when the message feels uncomfortable or inconvenient, trusting the nudge is what transforms your path. Okay? Yes, and sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable, especially if you rely on hearing what other people have to say for you, or are listening to your external world. It's about time to come within yourself to get the right information for you, not your mother, not your father, not your kids, not society, but for you. And lastly, action solidifies the message. Receiving divine wisdom is sacred, but taking aligned action is where transformation truly begins. It's not about getting the download of information and then running out and trying to make something happen. It's about taking the lead from your higher self of what your next steps are. I call that divine doing. So, in closing, the divine doesn't shout, it whispers, nudges, and occasionally drops the mic when it needs to get your full attention. By learning to listen with your heart, body, and spirit, you become a living vessel of divine communication. When spirit speaks, you may have the courage not just to hear, but to move, shift, and become. And I'm going to leave you with a quote. And this is a quote from me. When you tune into your soul, you no longer chase signs. You become the space they land in. So, I want to just segue into this. You've heard me talk a lot about our monthly membership program, I'm Awake Now What? This may be your next step after the divine mic drop. Have you ever had that moment so profound it stopped you in your tracks? A whisper from spirit, a synchronicity you couldn't ignore, a shift you felt deep in your soul. That's your divine mic drop. Now the question is, I'm awake, now what? If you're navigating a spiritual awakening, searching for clarity, or simply feeling like you've outgrown your old life, you are not alone. That's exactly why we created I'm Awake Now What? A conscious community for the spiritually awakened. It's led by myself, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, and my partner, Cozy Stankaitis. And this isn't just another group. It's a weekly sanctuary for support, tools, guidance, and soul-aligned connection. Inside, you'll find live weekly conscious business hours. We go live on Zoom every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's recorded. You'll get spiritual mentorship and healing tools, a safe, sacred place for expansion and exploration, and a community with others on a similar path. So if Spirit's been nudging you, this is your sign. The mic has dropped. Are you ready to take action? Join us inside I'm Awake Now What? And step boldly into your next phase of your soul journey. You could find out more information by going to my website, drdoloresfazzino.com, and click on I'm Awake Now What? We would love to help you with your pathway on your awakening. So I just want to remind everybody that you are loved, you are appreciated, you are valued, and most importantly, you are worth it. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. Dr. Dolores returns Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and create your best life. You are worth it.